5th of August 2019, the Indian government unilaterally revoked the special status of Kashmir, breaking the disputed region into two union territories directly controlled by New Delhi. A violent crackdown by Indian security forces on protesting Kashmiris ensued, effectively cutting off Kashmir from the world. But what has been the human cost of India's annexation? I'm Ali Mustafa, and this is India's annexation of Kashmir, Decoded. It was the largest known mass blinding of protesters ever. Indian security forces fired rubber-coated metal pellets into protesters. The victims, some as young as 7 years old, were left blinded in what became known as the Dead Eyes Revolt. The protesters were inspired by this man, Burhan Wani, a 22-year-old Kashmiri who had crossed over to the side of the separatists and was killed in an ambush by Indian security forces. For India, Burhan Wani was a terrorist, and those protesting his killing were terrorist sympathizers. An indigenous revolt by former British Second World War veterans sought the end of Hindu rule of the Muslim-majority princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. Facing defeat from an indigenous uprising, Hari Singh opted for India in 1948. It led to the first war between India and Pakistan, dividing the Kashmir region along what would become the line of control. Soon after retaking the valley, India's then Prime Minister agreed to a special status for Kashmir under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution that would give it autonomy over everything except defense, foreign affairs, and communications. Ironically, India soon imprisoned Kashmiri leader Sheikh Abdullah, with whom it had formalized the deal. India launched a brutal military crackdown in 1989 after an armed revolt broke out. 80,000 Kashmiris have been killed since, and tens of thousands of Kashmiri Hindu pundits have also been forced into exile. New Delhi accuses Islamabad of giving separatists money and weapons to carry out targeted attacks against Indian forces. The two countries have fought at least 2 wars and many other smaller conflicts over Kashmir. In 2019, a suicide bomber attacked a convoy of Indian forces, killing 40 Indian troops. The attack was carried out by Kashmiri separatists from Indian-administered Kashmir, but an outlawed group based in Pakistan accepted responsibility for the attack. Islamabad, though, says it was not involved. India retaliated by sending fighter jets across the line of control to attack suspected terrorist camps in Pakistan. In turn, Pakistan shot down an Indian fighter jet and captured its pilot Abhinandan. Pakistan released him days later, forcing India to back down. India's annexation of Kashmir is seen by many Kashmiris as the beginning of a new nightmare. But for India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, it's the beginning of a new dawn. For India's ruling party, the Hindu nationalist BJP, and its mothership RSS, enforcing demographic changes in Kashmir has been a cause célèbre. Thousands of people have been rounded up and put in prison. 2 former chief ministers were arbitrarily detained after India revoked Kashmir's special status. Omar Abdullah has since been released. Internet restrictions lasted for 6 months, with high-speed mobile internet still gagged. Settlers from elsewhere in India are being encouraged to move to Kashmir to force what locals say is a demographic change. India says revoking Kashmir's special status will finally help it integrate and bring more opportunities for the people. It will also help ease what New Delhi terms as Pakistan-inspired separatist tendencies. But the other side, the Kashmiri side, tells a different story. Kashmiris say they are witnesses too and victims of an occupying force. But unlike the Palestinians, Kashmiris say their voices are rarely heard. And that's India's annexation of Kashmir Decoded this week. I'm on Twitter at Ali_Mustafa.